Hailing frequencies open. Welcome back to Trek Retrek here on Geek the F Out. I am Captain Johnny.
And I'm Ensign Kayla.
I did it
pledge
on purpose.
allegiance to the Enterprise.
Of the United Federation of Planets.
Yes.
We are here to talk about Season 2, Episode whatever. 22. Episode 51 overall. We were saying off camera last week, we kind of wish episode 50 would have been a better episode. Yeah. I think this one makes up for it. Spoilers. This is By Any Other Name. I'm on the wrong
A Rose by Any Other Name. Which we'll get to it, but like dumb.
Yeah.
Like the title and like yeah, it made no sense. It was such a throwaway thing in the episode.
Yes. And such a weird moment too, like.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
anyways, go ahead.
TVGuide.com says Kirk tries to outwit aliens who have seized the Enterprise and assumed human form by appealing to their newly acquired human senses and desires. Which I feel like is completely different. I'm trying to remember what IMDb.com said.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. Galactic alien scouts capture the Enterprise for a return voyage and a prelude to invasion. Kirk's one advantage, they're not used to their adopted human form.
That kind of gives it... They both kind of give it away.
Yeah. Interesting.
Like how they beat them.
Yeah, let's jump right in. Let's get into it.
Shall we get into it?
Yeah.
All right. So we have Kirk, Bones, Spock, and two red shirts, which I put her name down later. Yeoman
Thompson, I believe it was.
Yeoman Thompson. I don't know why I said Yeoman. And Shay, that's like all he was. Like, that's the only name I found. They beam down to a planet to investigate a distress call that came from it when two humanoids come up to them, a man and a lady, who we find out the lady is Kalinda, and I thought she looked a lot like Natalie Portman, and I loved her smoky eye and blue outfit. I tried to emulate her smoky eye a little bit. It's like a different kind of smoky eye. It's like a cut crease underneath. Smoky eye. Anyways.
Makeup tips with Kayla.
Yes. They tell Kirk to surrender their ship, and they both press the buttons on their buckles, and everyone freezes. But their eyes can move.
Yeah.
At least Kirk's eyes move. But, like, the other ones, they don't look like their eyes move, which is very weird.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand that.
They said that I believe they said it like seizes the voluntary muscle reactions, and so like you can't
pathways, something like that.
So
science.
I think moving your eyes is voluntary, like you do it consciously. I mean, sometimes you may do it unconsciously, but yeah, I mean it's nitpicky, but yeah, he probably should have just been like,
you nitpicker. No, especially because Kirk was moving his eyes a lot and the others didn't seem like they were moving it, so it just seemed a little weird.
Yeah, but I think in a way that's a convenient shorthand in visual media, like theater and shows and whatnot, to show that they're paralyzed but still aware of what's going on. That's
what I figured they did it for. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we find out he is Rojan of Kelva, which he is their commander now, and tells them not to resist or try to escape, and they will leave the galaxy forever, and humans will face the end of humanity as they know it. And dun, 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 dun. Which I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's gonna happen here? Like, he really went for the dramatic with that.
Yeah.
So they take away their phasers and communicators, telling them that they can control them at will. Then he releases them. and pretty much tells them he wants to use their ship to return to Andromeda, which is their home, because apparently in 10 millennia their galaxy will be able to inhabit them because the radiation will be so bad. So they're trying to seek out a new one, and they found this galaxy. And Kirk says it's already inhabited, and Rojan says that they're, already taking over their ship, and we cut to the scene where they're taking over engineering, and the ship goes on red alert, but then they take over the bridge as well. And then they say they will modify the ship to make it get there in 300 years, and they will die on their return journey, but their descendants will make it back. Which is interesting. I was like, why haven't they learned to freeze themselves like, I don't know, every other sci-fi thing has figured out? Maybe that wasn't a trope yet. I wonder, like, who...
Well, no, because they had
It must have
that was
been.
the whole thing with Khan and the
yeah.
sleeper ship.
Yeah, that's true. For such, like, advanced creatures, beings, the magical fruit. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't think of that. I don't know. Anywho, which is also interesting that, like, going back, they have to be humans, so they're gonna have to procreate as humans and not as their tentacle monsters.
I don't know. Because if it's that long, like, they're not going to make the trip. Maybe they last in human form longer.
No, they said that their descendants will be there. So, but they can't. They're, like, too big for the ship, obviously. So they're going to have to fuck as humans, I guess.
I guess.
Interesting. So, I don't think they quite thought that through.
Maybe not, yeah. But we don't know. They said that their, like, tentacle form, their natural form was immense.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know.
How they gonna fuck?
I don't
know. Unless they're, like... Yeah, even then, they just, like, wouldn't fit in the ship. So then Kirk says they could take the problem to the Federation to help them, and Rojan says no, they must conquer. That is the way of their people. And I'm like, bro, you dumb. Like, I know you must conquer, but, like, I don't know. You have a perfectly viable option. Yeah. And so he says they're going to use Kirk and Co as hostages to control the crew, and apparently they're not normally humanoids, and we find out when Kirk and Co are in the cave jail cell thing, they're trying to figure out how to get out, and Spock tries to use a Vulcan mind probe, lol, to get Kalinda to think they've escaped when something, like, it almost, like, electrocutes him. So Kalinda comes in, and Kirk Kung Fu knocks her out and takes the button, only for them to get caught immediately trying to escape. Yeah. And as their punishment, they take aside the red shirts because, of course.
Of course.
And, yeah, Kirk tries to beg Rojan to let them go, but Hanar ends up turning them into these, like, pumice dice, 14-sided dice things. And he crushes up one of them, but leaves Shay to be restored. And R.I.P. Yeoman Thompson. Very sad. Very sad. Rest in peace.
Justice for Yeoman Thompson.
Yes. Spock says he was thrown... What? Oh, he was thrown away because of these images that were put into his mind, and the only image that he remembers is these... Once again, immense beings with a bunch of tentacles. Hundreds of tentacles, apparently. And Kirk gets the idea to have Spock jam their paralysis projector. So Spock pretends to be sick using his Vulcan powers to get him to sickbay. It works, and they beam Spock and Bones back on board. And Bones gives Chapel orders, but she doesn't understand them. Which I'm guessing, like, whatever he was ordering her to do wasn't really going to have any effect.
Probably didn't make any sense, but...
Yeah, exactly. So then, let's see. Oh, Bones tells one of the Kelvins that it's a flare-up of an old illness he had, which sounded like a totally made-up illness. Like, could definitely be something in this world, but also just sounded very made up because, you know, he realizes they don't know everything about Vulcans and humans and whatnot and illnesses.
Yeah, in that galaxy. I think it was Rigelian cassava fever.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. And then we have Kirk and Rojan argue over what's going to happen next with this people and the Enterprise peeps. And he's like, you know, we're going to take you back with us, essentially. And yeah. So we're now on the bridge, and they set a course to Kelva, and they will approach the barrier in an hour. So Kirk goes to see Bones, Scotty, and Spock, who are working on the jammer, and Spock and Scotty examine the projector and realize they're going to have to use the matter reactors to pump positive energy in it to penetrate the projector, but the ship would explode, which I'm like, okay, but like, what's the point of killing yourselves? I didn't really understand that because it's not like, I mean, I guess they were like, they're going back to Kelva and then they're gonna like come back and conquer, but like that's gonna take a long time. So I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's the point? I don't know. Like,
it would be like 600 years. Right, because they said it was like 300 years to get from Andromeda to the Milky Way.
Yeah, their ships might go even faster than that. Or maybe. I guess no, they said it was still 300. That's right.
Yeah. So it's going to take them 300 years to get back and then tell their leaders or whatever what's going on, and then another 300. Like, it's a long-ass time. Like,
yeah. It is.
But...
Indeed.
You know, they are, you know, they have to do what they can to defend the Milky Way. So maybe they are assuming they have to stop them from getting back to eventually lead an invasion force.
Yeah. So, let's see. Where was I? Oh, okay. They tell this to Kirk on the way up to the bridge, and when they get to the bridge, they approach the energy barrier, and Kirk is struggling with going through with the plan, and it gets a little rocky in there going through the barrier, but they end up making it through, which I'm like, how do they make it through, and like these more advanced quote-unquote beings couldn't get their ship through? I don't know.
Yeah, without like they said they went through and like it caused damage. That's why they essentially had to crash land on this planet. And remember,
they took a shuttlecraft to the planet.
Oh, is that what they said? I must have missed that. And remember when in Where No Man Has Gone Before, when they came up against the galactic barrier, they couldn't get past it. So I'm guessing the implication is the Kelvins learned something by passing through it, that they knew what to do to modify the ship to keep it safe. I mean, it still took damage and there were still some casualties, but it did make it through.
I'm trying to remember what else happened in Where No Man. My brain is
Oh geez, that was freaking 50 some episodes ago.
Yeah.
Now, I can barely remember. That's the thing with rewatching. Almost all of these episodes feel new because, like I said, like I watched all of these like more than a decade ago, and like we just watched Where No Man Has Gone Before like less than a year ago, maybe just about a year ago. I don't know what happened in it.
Well, you remembered that much.
I just remember the galactic barrier.
I was thinking that too when I saw it. I was like, didn't they like try to go through this before or something? So I guess my inklings were correct.
Oh, that's the one I pulled up and saw. That was actually the second pilot. That's the one where Gary Mitchell and Dr. Danar get like the godlike powers and like the espers and like start Yeah.
Yes. I remember that. So let's see. Rojan tells Hanar to start the neutralizing operation, which neutralizing means turning them into pumice dice. And to do it to all non-essential personnel because they won't have enough food, and also they don't have enough Kelvins to watch everyone. So they do it to everyone except Kirk, Spock, Scotty, and then we find out Bones as well. And then Cup Watch 2024.
Cups. We haven't seen Cups in a minute.
Yeah, I feel like this season we've seen them a lot less than the first season for sure.
Yeah.
But they were back. They were back, baby.
Oops.
Oh. So Kirk meets with the other three to eat, and they get mad at him for not going through with the plan when Tomar, one of the Kelvins, comes in and wants to try food. And Spock notices that he shouldn't be enjoying food, so they can use their senses to distract them since they're new to the Kelvins.
I was surprised in this scene, speaking of the cups, when Kirk pounds on the table, there's actually coffee in that cup. Like, you can see it splash out of the cup. I was like, like, because typically in shows, I feel like the cups are either empty or they just have water in them. But there's actually coffee in that cup that splooshed out of it when he pounded the table.
Splooshed. When he pounded the table.
That's what they say.
So Scotty gets Tomar drunk. Bones gives another guy some shots, which we find out later seem to make him kind of irritable, angry, something.
I'm not sure
really
what he was giving him.
Yeah, he called it vitamins, but yeah. And of course, Kirk seduces Kalinda and kisses her, which
of course.
Like, this doesn't feel consensual, but of course. But she realizes he's trying to seduce her, and she kisses him. So, kind of consensual, I guess. Then Rojan comes in and cock blocks them, and Kalinda shows him how Kirk apologized by kissing him, which is funny. And they both don't understand it. And Scotty and Tomar have gone through 2 bottles of alcohol now. Saurian brandy and another one.
I love that Scotty immediately chooses alcohol and Kirk immediately chooses trying to get laid.
Yeah, very much them. And I just love all of the drunk Scotty scenes, I will say. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And so Spock is playing 3D butt plug chess with Rojan, discussing the kiss apology, when Spock says how he is thrown off and speculates that maybe he's jealous and checkmates him. And we have a quick scene of Scotty, now being super wasted and pouring more alk for Tomar. And then we have Kalinda is fixing up her hair with when Rojan comes in and tells her not to fraternize with humans, particularly Kirk, and she refuses, and Rojan gets upset and threatens to neutralize Kirk and humans, and then he grabs her, but then is shocked by this reaction of his. And the Kelvin, or Tomar, I kept putting the Kelvin until I realized his name, is now... I put is not drunk. It must have corrected me or something. Is now drunk, and Scotty gets a very... Oh, no, he's not drunk yet. That's right. Scotty gets a very old scotch out, and he is beyond toasted at this point.
Yeah.
And Kalinda comes in to see Kirk and Bones and Spock, Bones and Spock end up leaving. They're like, oh, let's leave them two alone. And she asks if he can apologize to her again. I'm like, you like it, huh? And Hanar comes onto the bridge and gets mad at Rojan for how he's run things and Rojan tells him to go to his quarters. So yeah, clearly something Bones was giving him was making him agitated or something.
I think it's funny because the other one, who Drea, is sitting at the console on the bridge, and she looks back at Rojan, and like no one's been screwing with her. She's just been sitting there doing her job. So I can just imagine she's like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah, really. Also, she's hot as tits as well.
Yes.
So, Kalinda tells Kirk Rojan forbid her from seeing him and says she wants to learn more. And we have Spock going to the bridge saying he has to monitor and adjust some devices when Rojan asks if he's seen Captain Kirk and tells him that he was alone with Kalinda in the break room. Sounds like a clue. Sounds like a clue answer.
Yeah. Kirk with Kalinda in the break room.
With
cups.
Cups. Yeah, there we go. So then Tomar is finally drunk and passes out when Scotty gets his whatchamacallit, device thing.
Yeah, the buckle button.
But he slumps down before he can even walk out the door.
Yes.
And I was like, Scotty, why didn't you just pretend to drink or something? Like, come on. Like, you could have gone like every other shot or something, or like, I don't know. Yeah. And then we have Rojan cock blocking Kirk and Kalinda again, so take a shot every time that happens. And he's telling Kirk he did this to her. Oh, Rojan is telling Kirk that he did this to her and pulls Kirk off and of her. So Kirk slaps him, which we have slapping 2024 again. And they start to fight. And that's when the other, is it just Spock or
Spock and Bones?
And Spock and Bones come in, and Kirk ends up restraining Rojan and telling him they're basically fucked now because they've already changed in the short amount of time they've been human. So like they're gonna be completely different creatures when they get back to Kelva, and says the Federation could still help them find a planet. And he lets him go, and Rojan agrees to use that planet that they were on in the meantime, and Kalinda kisses him to apologize to him. Which I was like, why? Like, this is the same solution we already had. It just seemed like really silly that he had to be stimulated to...
Yeah. And like,
get there.
One of the things, like, at the very beginning I wrote down is like, why don't you just suggest that you go back to Earth and give them a ship to go home in? Like, just give, like...
Yeah.
And then eventually, I mean, they are not going back, but they're just going to stay in our galaxy.
Yeah.
But...
Exactly. So yeah, Rojan calls the bridge and says he's giving command of the ship back to Kirk, and that is the end of the episode.
Yeah, and Drea's like, sir? Like, she has no idea what's going on.
She has no idea what's going on. She's been very out of the loop this whole time.
Yeah.
Which is also very odd. So my first question is this related to the Kelvin universe?
No, because, like... And that's something that I was that was from, like, this is funny because they're Kelvins. The other Kelvin, the Starship Kelvin, is Kelvin. There's also
it's the Starship. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
There's also a unit
figured.
of temperature, like
yes,
Kelvins.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
science.
the USS Kelvin is named after the scientist Kelvin who like established that measurement. But yeah, these Kelvins are they're Kelvans, completely different. Because I think what they said the planet they were from is Kelva.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and Kalinda confused me because at first I'm like all these people have these weird names: Rojan, Drea, Tomar. What was
but like
it?
Other like species tend to have different names that they've encountered before, like weird different names. Sometimes.
Well, but I kept hearing, I didn't hear Kalinda's name correctly until Spock said it. I was like, is her name Melinda? Belinda? Like, no, it's Kalinda. Well, so it's not like just a human name,
That's
but
why you
at
gotta
first
have
I'm
the
like,
sub titties on.
yeah, I wasn't watching with the sub titties this time, but
Gotta have the sub titties. Amateur hour, Johnny. Amateur hour. Should we do favorite lines and moments?
yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, like I said before, loved anytime Scotty was drunk. It was just fucking hilarious. Particular lines, when Bone says, if he keeps reacting like that, he's gonna need a diet.
Yeah. I had, when Kalinda's talking to Kirk, she says, this business of love, you have devoted much literature to it. Why do you build such a mystique around a simple biological function? Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really a simple biological function.
Yeah.
It's not even really biological.
I think she was just talking about, like, she was taking it as, like, everything built around sex.
I see. This isn't really favorite, but when Rojan says, Clinda is female, nothing more. And I'm like, typical man.
Yeah.
And then when Tomar and Scotty are drinking, and Scotty pulls out the new bottle of alcohol, and Tomar's like, what is it? And Scotty's like, it's green.
Yeah. And then
That was really funny.
at the end, as you saw in our thumbnail for this one, he's like, we did it. You and me put him right under the table. It was great.
So
Love
good.
Scotty.
Yeah. Those are all my lines and moments. Do you have any more?
No, I don't have any other ones. So that will bring us to That's What They Said. I will now release you.
Something penetrating.
Hold your position.
Your people are most efficient, Captain.
Assist me.
Look for any way to stimulate their senses.
What is it you wish?
Let me try.
I need some more experiments.
I'm stimulating him.
Yay!
Those are your That's What They Said for Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 22, by any other name.
I think
Which, once again, stupid title.
Yes.
Stupid
I think
moment.
the last one, when Kirk falls into Bones and McCoy and he's like, I'm stimulating him. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
I'm like, that has to be in there.
That was funny.
Has to be in there.
Oh, of course. Of course.
So that will bring us to episode trivia from Memory Alpha. Yeoman Thompson's death and Julie Cobb's portrayal of that character is referenced in the cooking show Good Eats by Alton Brown. The cooking show makes occasional references to Star Trek, especially the original series. I didn't know. In the Star Trek interview book, writer Jerome Bixby told Alan Asherman that he originally wrote the episode in a rather more serious vein, but that in depicting the potential end of the human race at the hands of the Kelvins, he failed to heed producer Gene Roddenberry's warning to avoid getting wrapped up in the immensity of it all. As a result, DC Fontana rewrote the script as a more lightweight episode. Bixby's original script was much darker than the filmed episode. The Kelvins, then called the Devenians, executed 10 Enterprise crew members by opening the shuttle bay doors and letting them get sucked out into space. Kirk was put through hellish torture. As also, crew members were chosen to mate with each other. Kirk was paired with Yeoman Leslie Thompson to eventually breed slaves to the Kelvins. NBC objected against all of these, which led producer Gene Kuhn to order a heavy rewrite on the material. The production staff also deemed the mating aspect too similar to The Cage. According to David Gerald, the writers could not figure out how the Kelvins could eliminate the crew. While in Roddenberry's office, someone spotted a Mexican onyx dodecahedron on his desk and suggested that they be transformed into objects of that shape. Dorothy Fontana describes this.
Dodecahedron. So is that 14?
No, a dodecahedron is only 12. So they ended up using that final. I forget what it was that I texted you the actual name. tectonic platahedron? Something. It's a
Tectonic
14-sided.
plates.
Yeah, it's a 14-sided shape. Not all the sides are the same. But yeah, it was inspired by a dodecahedron. And they suggested that they be transformed into objects of the shape. Dorothy Fontana describes the scene in the special features of season 2 DVD. She indicates that she had given the dodecahedron to Roddenberry and that he played with it while they described their problem, and then Roddenberry made the suggestion that they be transformed into objects of that shape. Direct references to 2 previous episodes were made. After Rojan mentions the galactic barrier, Kirk says we've been there, and that was where no man has gone before. Even Spock repeats his analysis of the barrier word for forward: density negative, radiation negative, energy negative. And when the landing party is detained in the cave, Kirk recalls their imprisonment on MNR 7 and Spock's use of a mind meld to fool the guards. That was a taste of Armageddon. So that was interesting. Those were like,
Okay,
aside
I was
from
wondering, like, when he said, like, the planet, I was like, okay, so have we seen this, or are they referencing another time that we haven't seen?
No, it was an actual episode. And aside from the Mud episodes, where they obviously directly link back to the previous Mud episodes, this is one of the few that they're like directly calling out events from previous episodes. So I thought that was interesting.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll do this more from now on, because it makes it seem like a more cohesive unit, and like people love those callbacks and being the Leo meme and pointing to the screen like, I get that. I know what that's from. That's the thing. Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah. Thank you. So that will bring us to spoilers without context. And since I went first for That's What They Said, we will bring Ensign Kayla's spoilers without context up on the screen.
Yes. So I had to use Chapel and 3D dice, or not 3D dice, 3D chess, because, you know, any excuse to use Chapel. I used 14-sided dice, and I used the Teletubby Poe, which I had to look up what his name was, because Kalinda's hair had like a twist in it that reminded me of that. And then I used the Kraken from Pirates of the Caribbean because, you know, big creature with lots of tentacles. Yep, those are mine.
Yep. Very good. The Poe one, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And the 3D chess with Chapel. There was also 3D checkers when they were fighting on the table.
Interesting.
Very good. Well done. We will bring my spoilers without context up on the screen. I did a 20-sided die. I know it's 20 sides and not 14, but I wanted to use one that had
are almost the same color.
Yeah, I wanted to use one that had the Dungeons and Dragons logo on it, so I didn't even think to search for a 14-sided die. I used this is Emrakul, the World Anew. She is an Eldrazi from Magic the Gathering, but she is an immense, massive tentacle monster, so that felt appropriate.
I think I saw that when I was looking up giant tentacle monsters.
It makes sense. I used a personal massager with bunny rabbit ears because that is what
But it's not a rabbit.
It's not a rabbit. That is what the device in engineering, it looked like
a bunch of those put together. Yep.
Yeah.
I can see that. I was wondering what that was for.
Yeah. And then I had to use Ron Swanson with his Lagavulin Scotch whiskey for Scotty, and that was Tomar. Ending with the Scotch. So yeah, I had to.
That's amazing. Yep. I wish I would have thought of that one.
Thank you. I think Ron Swanson and Scotty would get along really well.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Especially because, like, Scotty's an engineer and Ron Swanson likes to build things, so they would get along like this.
Yeah.
Scissoring each other.
All right. That does it for spoilers without context. So before we rank the episode, Ensign Kayla, why don't you tell the folks what's going on?
Yeah. So if you want to follow us on social media, mostly post on Instagram, updates about shows that we're doing and whatnot. We are at GTFO channel. If you want to email us, our email is channelgtfo@gmail.com. And right now, besides our usual Trek Retrek, we are starting our Lost Watch Rewatch show. It is Johnny's first time watching Lost, and it is I don't know how many times I've watched Lost. And we're doing, it'll be every Friday, either a live stream or a pre-record. And we'll be talking about the seasons first ourselves. The first 3 seasons, we're going to have 2 episodes each. And then after each season, we're going to have Ralph on to discuss the season and possibly a special guest or 2. And the last 3 seasons, we'll just have 1 episode on each of them. And yeah, so look forward to that every Friday around 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern.
And that's going to run up until the premiere of the Getting Lost documentary in September.
Yeah.
So it's going to be every Friday for the next couple of months.
Yep.
But we have to do Lost. It's Kayla's favorite show. So we've got to do that.
And Johnny already got lost in the sauce of it, so...
Yes, I did. I got sucked in and watched a lot of it already, so...
Yes. All right. Shall we rank?
All right. Yes. Ensign Kayla, how do you rank by any other name?
This is a tricky one because it wasn't like I hated the episode or anything. I just felt like you don't have to watch it. Like, it's entertaining, but especially when the plot is, I don't know, it felt really dumb that the original idea that Kirk had ended up being the one that they ended up using. And I was like, you could have done that from the beginning. Yeah, it just felt like kind of dumb to have that be the solution and to have Kirk just like talk sense to him. I don't know. I did like the idea of how they went about stimulating all of them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was the solution and it was there at the beginning. I don't know, seemed kind of dumb to me. So I'm gonna rank it Lieutenant.
Okay.
Just because it is like fun and like especially Scotty's scenes, like it's like a pretty cohesive episode. Like you know, also the like concept of neutralizing them was cool and just having these like paralyzers. So there was like somewhat new concepts, but at the same time, like I didn't feel like it was something you like have to watch. So Lieutenant.
Okay. Yeah, I can see those points. Man, I really want to give it Captain, oddly enough, but
That's
I
fine.
think that might be...
No, that's fine. Do
yeah,
whatever
I'm gonna
you
give
do.
it Captain. Even with the because like everything you're talking about is 100% like legitimate and accurate. Like all your points are solid. I don't think they take enough away from the episode. Like, and I don't think it is like a must-watch episode for anything except that I think it's a really fun episode. Like, it's one of my favorites that we've watched. Like, it was hilarious, and especially with Scotty and I like it a lot. This is one that I'm going to get Captain, even if it doesn't necessarily deserve it.
Yeah, that's fair. We're allowed to do that. It is our opinions. Yeah.
So,
once again, like I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it as well. I just don't think like you absolutely need to watch it. Like,
yeah, it's probably better for me as a commander, but I'm going to give it Captain because I liked it anyway.
yeah. Fuck it. Go for it. Love that.
Thank you. So our next episode, I'll be interested to see what the poll results for this one are. Our next episode will be the Omega Glory. Responding to a distress signal, IMDb.com says, responding to a distress signal, Kirk finds Captain Tracy of the USS Exeter violating the Prime Directive and interfering with a war between the Yangs and the Combs to find the secret of their longevity.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Whether you're watching us on the premiere or on replay, we appreciate it. Don't forget to smack that like, smack that subscribe, and smack that bell icon, just like we had slapping in this episode.
Just like Kirk smacked Rojan.
Yes. Until next time, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.